You are living in a giant mind control cult. That's the message I received from a new communication that I'm going to share with you guys, and I think that this is very pertinent because it kind of cuts to the core of what I've been going on about for about the last 15 years, which is that there is this terrible, suffocating culture that we live in, especially in the West, that destroys the human spirit. And this message, I think, really cuts to the core of that. Long before I became a channeler, I was absolutely committed to this idea that we are living in a world that is absolutely consumed by physicalism and materialism. And there has to be a way through this. I believe there absolutely is a way through this. So we're going to talk about that tonight on The Great Cosmic Shift with Cyrus Kirkpatrick. So let's go ahead and roll that intro. Okay, everybody, welcome back. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is on Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, where I typically hang out at. Before you get started, don't forget to please hit that subscribe button. If you are from Afterlife Topics, I do not have access to my Patreon account because my Gmail was hacked. If you can't access your Gmail, you cannot access any of the associated accounts with it until I get things worked out, which could take weeks because I don't know why the system is so screwed up like that, but it is. So if you were trying to reach out to me for any reason, like through my Patreon, please contact me at cosmicshiftawakening@gmail.com. What else? A subscription really helps right now because I'm having to basically rebuild my old community, which is Afterlife Topics on YouTube, and transfer into this community, which was talking about the afterlife, but it's also talking about the cosmic shift and higher realities and the cosmos, extraterrestrials, and things like that, which mean a lot to me at this point in my life. So, with that said, so tonight's communication, so this is all the article from Afterlife Topics on Facebook. Tonight's communication is with Vinery. This is an entity I was talking with earlier who is from another multiverse. So as a background, I was introduced to her last night, actually, through a different contact of mine. My communications are clairaudient telepathy, but it's also, I'm getting a weird pop-up on my screen. Nope, I don't want HP support assistance. Thank you very much. But as I was saying, I use clairaudient telepathy, but this clairaudient telepathy is actually, it's augmented a bit by an implant. You know, Cyrus is so batty. Look, at this point in time, all across planet Earth, people are having experiences. So this whole argument that anyone who has communications with other forces, the spirit realities, higher realities, is loopy or crazy or hears voices. Well, guess what? That's like the 90s, okay? That's the 90s, that's the 2000s, back when you had everyone obsessed about like James Randi and the $1 Million Challenge and just being glued to the machine, the system. Well, guess what? It's the 2020s now, and those arguments are out the door at this point. Now it's about understanding the realities behind communications and figuring out what those messages are. And we're going to look at a nice case study of this crazy pro-machine, pro-materialism, just nasty argument that arises still among people who seem to think it's still the year 2005 and they have some kind of social leverage trying to undermine and bully people who are bringing forth messages of hope, trying to get this damn civilization under control. So we're going to look at a nice case study of some of the shills who are infiltrating the Facebook community after we read this message. Now let me just real quick take a look. Okay, it looks like we're good to go. Vinery is from a multiverse that is beyond our own multiverse, as they say. So our universe sits as just one among countless trillions of universes. So this is how distant and far away she is. So she's from a different whole reality in a sense. She looks odd to us with a very straight line for a mouth and a small nose, no hair. She had, in my visions of her, has like large appendages, look kind of insect-like, protruding from her back. However, she describes the existence of humans that look like us, even within her unfathomably distant existence out in the cosmos. So to begin, I began a communication. Again, it's like audible dialogue, and this is what I was able to communicate from by Vinery. She says, "Greetings to those who may be reading. Our people put things very bluntly. Your society is living in a mind control cult. It is affecting everyone on your planet, especially in the Western society as we can observe it currently. You do not realize this, but as we observe your people, there exists severe depression among most related to what is called your STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. That is to say, those people working in such fields." I could have said this myself, knowing people who are engineers and people involved in biology. "This is because your entire academic institutions have inserted within ideas that are designed on purpose to drive people into insanity. Again and again, we see the same pattern playing out. These ideas are presented with great authority, optimism, and are given complete reverence. So for example, a television show we can now identify from Cyrus's memories is called Cosmos with Carl Sagan, that he watched with his brother as a child, which is true. Another show is called Square One, that Cyrus would watch on a network known as PBS. I used to like that show. I used to watch Square One and Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, Sesame Street, and a bunch of other programming when I was a kid. Vinery continues, also with his brother and during formative years, designed to help children become inspired about your scientific institutions. And here I was thinking Square One's a fun show. Apparently this communicator is seeing things slightly differently. These shows, as well as your education system, instill ideas to people's minds designed to create extreme sorrow and potentially drive people insane. This is done so the cabal, I would say cabals plural, of your world, which is now mostly destroyed by higher powers, that is to say the cabals, could assume absolute control over your people and to take pleasure in the suffering that it generates. For example, the show known as Cosmos is, or I would say was, put together with an extremely charismatic man known as Carl Sagan, I would say now also Neil deGrasse Tyson. The tactic in this regard that we, discovering your world, witness continually is how there is a sense of great authority from this host and an attempt to create a feeling of wonder and beauty about the universe. This show proposes ideas, however, that would throw people into complete mental breakdowns and suffering. Observing the television show Cosmos and several others, all given clandestine approval by these mafia groups that we identify as a cabal, all propose the following, I would say, elements of our scientific institution machine, either in extreme detail or implicitly. So what this machine, what this system proposes, and especially puts into the minds of young people is, okay, Vinery continues, there is no such thing as life beyond your world. There is one world, but mathematically life does not exist beyond it. The origin of your universe, the life within it, is a random accident. It is improbable for life to generate a second time within a great accident. Yeah, we've all heard this before, haven't we? You just have to turn on the freaking Learning Channel or Discovery Channel, or go to a goddamn a science class in university like I would, and have these ideas just drilled into your mind as if it's the absolute truth. Consciousness can be broken into its constituent parts, which are chemical reactions. Chemical reactions generate emotions, and therefore consciousness is chemical reactions. My communicator last night, Vinery, was explaining to me that these ideas would be considered mental illness in anywhere else in reality. Upon death, if consciousness ends, one shall enter a state of non-existence. And this is not dreamless sleep, it is non-existence. Let me turn down my volume so there's fewer Facebook notifications going off. This is an impossibility, for it is impossible for non-existence to exist. Those within your world teach this explicitly and implicitly to young minds. There is nothing more terrifying to us. Such ideas are placed into vulnerable populations to control and horrify them, nothing more. Now, I've been going on about this since my first book, since I was first active on the internet debating these topics with materialists. I would say today there are far fewer materialists than there used to be, but they will take an idea like this and they will fight to defend it. There is no such thing as the mind that exists outside of the brain. An idea so preposterous to us, a civilization that believes it would be considered by us to be in great peril. Oh, look who's commenting. That your universe is 5-dimensional, an impossible to comprehend concept that in fact does not exist at all. It is an attempt to conceive an impossible thing which is also seeded into your world to keep people in a state of hysteria, stress, anxiety, and confusion. Further, so certain powers in your world can prevent your people from sophisticating your technologies, which could thwart or challenge them. I found this a little bit confusing because I was thinking to myself, what is it about being told that the universe is 5-dimensional that's causing some kind of an issue? And what I would say is it has to do with the very concept that a higher dimensional mathematical way of observing the universe exists, which is beyond any kind of comprehension that we can seed in a rational kind of way. So I found this interesting because I don't quite understand it, but then I looked up on the internet that there is an ongoing debate. Is the universe 5th dimensional or is it not? It's like, no. These are actually, like, I'm told, kind of nonsense paths that lead scientists down these kind of daisy chains of ultimately being completely confused about how the cosmos operates, which keeps our society from being held back, being able to sophisticate and create the technologies that they use. Time travel could theoretically exist by outrunning the speed of light. This is a funny one. Vinery says, this idea is hysterical, absurd, even insane. Do keep in mind time travel is possible in relationship to the past and in relationship to the spirit world reality. It is not possible in relationship to the future, which are only probabilities. There is no relationship between being literally in the past and moving through the speed of light. This is insanity. What is wrong with your world? So it sounds like a repudiation of Back to the Future. You can't go faster than the speed of light and find yourself literally in the past because of light, photons equaling light. When you think about it, yeah, this is nonsense. To reiterate, the idea there is no such thing as aliens or life beyond your world or universe. We observe this widespread belief with shock. There is no such thing as a mental or spirit plane of existence. This is an impossibility, and we observe this widespread idea with shock as well. That it is impossible to mentally communicate as one's brain signals are confined to an inert biological mechanism. This is absurd. All civilizations communicate mentally/telepathically with each other. What Cyrus is doing, I would put in brackets to communicate, is looked upon with great skepticism by some, and this belief is absurd to us. All can do this. Right now, people around your world are communicating like this, with ESP is my insert, more than ever. Yet a vast majority are terrified to admit to doing it because they may be put into psychiatric hospitals for, quote, hearing voices and other insane behaviors by authorities of your cult. This is a terrible situation. We encourage anyone involved in what is known as mental syncing to please step forward and admit that you are doing it. And what she's saying is if you're having telepathic contact experiences with higher beings or just each other, there's a huge amount of social pressure, psychological and collective consciousness pressure to not admit it. Well, the encouragement is to try to step up and admit that it's happening. Further, the idea that your unbelievably small lifespan is normal. It is not. In our cosmos, an average age of a human could be in the hundreds of sextillions of years. There is always an element of free will and personal destiny in regard to when a being migrates into a new life a new memory structure, and a new essence. The spiritual and physical technologies of your world to maintain age preservation are kept hidden but are used by your cabals in secret. Do keep in mind this can occur naturally as one merely uses one's greater mental energies to decide one's bodily characteristics. The ways to do this are kept hidden from you but exist in all other realms. Therefore, your society promotes these ideas, which then create stages of unbelievable grief and horror among your people when a spouse, parent, child, or friend suffers bodily death. And then this is my thoughts, and we are forced to try to believe that, oh, someone doesn't exist anymore. This is a horror-inducing superstition that has been coded into our society, the idea of non-existence of consciousness. This is on purpose to keep your society destabilized. Seemingly harmless television programs and academic institutions maintain aforementioned ideas, which would be considered extreme psychological duress and cult brainwashing by any civilization that exists anywhere beyond your world of Earth or Gaia. All of these ideas result in a society in an extreme state of social isolation. Relationships are coated with fear. Possessive and controlling characteristics manifest among people out of extreme fear. A person will die and cease to exist, which is again completely impossible. Your whole society is destructured, destabilized in a state of constant stress, fear, grief, and terror. Your workplace relationships reflect this, as people either exist in long working life states of depression or in states of extreme unnatural competition among co-workers to backstab one another to get ahead. And that's why I do not work in the corporate world. You can keep your six-figure jobs. I'll teach English and sell books as an author and work as an editor and work as a medium. These are effects of nihilism created in a society that believes life is an accident, consciousness is not real, nothing exists outside of your world, there is no life other than humans of your world. There are no other universes. The spirit world is not real. Love is not real, but all emotions are literally chemicals. Everything is an accident. Scientists and academics are gods, and that photons somehow create time itself. Here's a fun one. I will appear in your city of Tucson, Arizona, Cyrus, tomorrow, as I must do what I can. I will just manifest in the body of a strange-looking woman somewhere. It does not matter. I will blend right in. Okay. That's pretty funny. I'm going to have a video coming up soon about how that's, it's like, well, Cyrus, and go meet with this woman. Yeah, the collective consciousness is not going to allow it if she's even spliced into this exact reality. I'll talk about that in the next video, but it's a fun idea. I would love to go, like, have this communication, completely clairaudient, as loud as a phone call when the communication initiates, and then, it feels like I'm on the phone. It's like, oh, hey, Vinery, how's it going? How's life in the different multiverse? But forging that link would actually be the shift. That would cause a chain reaction around the world, and that would be it. Like that would be the big event. Is that going to happen? Probably not immediately. That's what I have to say. Now, everything I just posted sounds pretty neat. I mean, this is the system, this is the machine that initiates it, is the source of depression and angst, grief, and turmoil. Now, who here really likes the system, hates this post, wants to call me mentally ill, and wants to come out of the woodwork to attack this information? Well, let's just go down here and take a look at the likes, hearts, and the laughing emojis. Oh, that's interesting. A bunch of people came out of the woodwork, putting in one flew over the cuckoo nest memes and attacking all of this and attacking me in strange ways that do not, like, there's no attempt to actually address what I'm talking about, just to try to demean me and demean what's going on. Now, why would people want to support this system that we're talking about? Why would they go through all kinds of strange, logically fallacious ways to attack me and smear me and attack what I just posted, instead of actually engaging the content and even any semblance of a way that we could consider to be intellectual or rational? Because I would say people benefit from this system, and they take pleasure in maintaining the system and take pleasure in trying to destroy any attempts to get around the system. And these are people who, I'm told, work on a collective consciousness scale that is massive and supports the machine. People collectivize, begin to think as one, think as one unit without realizing it. And this represents what I would call the enemy soul collective, which is, I'm told, can actually manifest itself and attack people as it has attacked me and others. And people collectivize and immediately begin operations, even on the internet, trying to demean, belittle, and persuade people on the sidelines. So here's a guy named Mark Huddleston, who starts putting laughing emojis on all of the comments, or on the main thing I just posted. And I just make a response. Laughing emojis are themselves comments. If in a negative context they are cowardly comments, means someone is too spineless to engage in a debate. And snickering from the sidelines, generally a laughing emoji in the negative context, or in most places, is a bit of cowardice and small-minded behavior. So, do you care to comment, engage this in a debate, or are you going to chortle laugh from the class? And this guy says, if this is a class, I did not want to be in it. I was trying to be nice and not say anything rude. See, right away, social manipulation. No, actually, he was leaving laughing emojis, and him and his buddies, were not him, but his buddies were leaving demeaning memes from One Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest, that Cyrus is crazy. So I'll just tell you the truth. You need mental help. Oh, and by the way, just because you have something on your mind doesn't make it actually true. Okay? Try and think positive. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not practicing positive thinking, Mark Huddleston. You just showed me how you really think, and your mind is full of negativity. Oh man, I need to manifest more positivity. You cannot debate with someone that is this ignorant. With that said, have a good day. Okay, I respond. What are you doing this group? I feel like you're tailoring your very attitude here to be as demeaning as possible. Everyone here has experiences to share about the beyond. It's the nature of this forum. What I am saying to you strikes a chord because it's true. Sneaking around from the sidelines with laughing emojis is part of a demeaning and condescending attitude. So is people posting memes trying to accuse myself, and I assume anyone who is listening to this as being crazy and needing medication. This is, everyone knows you don't go into a group of mediums and psychics and channelers and start telling them they need to be on meds. That's literally the worst thing you can possibly tell people. For me, I can take it because this is my attitude to people. I'm Scottish, and I don't mind picking fights. Sometimes it lands me in trouble, sure, but I don't mind picking fights with people because that's how I feel. I'm becoming a grizzled Scottish guy with a beard, so what? But there's people out there who are sensitive, and they know that this is the pathway to be able to really, really hurt them. So they find groups of psychics and mediums and channelers, and they say things like, you need to consider going on medication, you're hearing voices, and that's the machine, because they get pleasure from bullying people, especially sensitive people. And they're sitting around smirking and feeling superior. This guy looks like some kind of hipster with a he looks like he has a craft beer in his right hand. He just I love craft beer. But I'm saying this dude is just there having a laugh, going on forums, calling people mentally ill, and just being horribly insensitive, and being able to hide behind the system and the machine that agrees with him. Now, who is that system? Who is that machine? Because to be honest with you, I've done a lot of work recently with people who are inmates, convicts, people in law enforcement, and I have the most engaging and wonderful discussions about spiritual experiences. I've been working with Navajo Indians and natives lately as well out here in my community, and it's all everyone knows this stuff. I was in communication. I knew this guy who was actually Navajo, and I was communicating with a Navajo angel named Shari, and this guy identifies who she is. It's, oh, we know who Shari is. She communicates to us as well over in our Navajo nation. So this is my life. And I'm supposed to go on the internet and be like, well, I need to submit to the system and the machine that tells me that I am crazy. I need to be a productive member of society, submit to the cabals, stop making a fuss, stop making a noise. There's no such thing as channeling. There's no such thing as telepathy and mediumship. There's none of that's real either. Just go back to work, Cyrus, in the system. Let's all sit around and watch Mythbusters and think of ourselves. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Mythbusters. as more enlightened than everybody else because we're engaging in positive thinking. There's nothing positive about deluding ourselves with all these flights of fantasy. Anyway, so I just say, oh, and I'm negative. I run this group. I'm only keeping you around long enough to understand this type of crazy behavior. And he says, no, this is all on you. The fact that you cannot shut up about it speaks volumes. Wait a second. Isn't he the one who arrived to this group as attacking us, attacking me? And then I'm defending, okay. You are ignorant because you lack common sense. Maybe one day you can transmute all that ignorance into wisdom. Oh, I'm not the wise one. This guy is. Until then, I'm going to suggest silencing your mind. Okay, that's it. I need to capitulate. I need to bow before the system and the machine. I need to silence my mind. Stop going on with all these radical ideas. Stop being so subversive. Just start. I need to just start just using logical sense, and maybe I need to go get a mental health evaluation. I need to start like keeping track of myself, basically. Thank you, Mark. Finally. You obviously have a lot of trouble with that. Again, posturing as an authority figure. This is what the authorities would tell you. Funny enough, not the authorities that I know who are actually in real life and actually understand how brutal and like soul-crushing our life and reality can be in this kind of system. I knew you were the one that runs the group. You just assumed I didn't, which is ignorant as well. I wish you the best in life. Okay, so look, it's just back and forth. I basically say, look, let's get something straight. You arrive snickering at posts, being condescending, you get called out for it, and you practice neuro-linguistic programming, reframe the situation, and make it seem like I'm the one being unfair. Anyone with 18 brain cells to rub together know when social manipulation and a reframe is taking place. You and your friends are attacking the group. What's the end game? The people who are radical. I know there's people radically opposed to mediumship, life after death, spirituality, supernatural, all of it. That includes you. What is the point of it all? To keep everybody in the same paradigm that is complete madness? Something tells me that Mr. Wise Guy here is not going to actually be able to formulate even still a coherent response. To date on this debate, you cannot respond properly. You're telling me I must seek wisdom. What does it even mean? No one knows your real purpose here, what you stand for. It makes you into a shill. So why am I feeding trolls? Why am I bringing this up? Because you need to actually, you see, I come from a different perspective about this. When it comes to these kinds of situations and this kind of information that's so vital, you actually have to address when people come along with social manipulation, subversion tactics, and are belonging to like weird, I would say hideous collectives that are trying to keep society held into its current paradigm, because they influence people big time because of their tactics and their ways to try to get into people's heads. When people who are outsiders can read proper rebuttals against these types of people, then what it does is when you can do that, what it does when you put in the rebuttals, the proper rebuttals, is it kind of like it's a collective consciousness battle, basically. It's a battle going on with the collective consciousness that is happening where people's ideas and opinions can actually shape all of society. And this is actually their way to do it. It involves fighting people on the internet. It involves using their force of will to, I've always wanted to use this verb, to buffalo people into submission, to make people try to think the way they do. And if one person gets convinced, it can, on a collective consciousness scale, affect everybody else around them in like a chain reaction, right? And so to make those chain reactions stop, well, you can do counter chain reactions. That's why it's not just a matter, it's not just a matter of, oh, if you run a community, ignore the trolls. No, actually you need to stand up for yourself and battle them, because it's not just your opinion, actually. It's the whole mind of the collective. And when you allow them to run amok and socially, culturally influence your society, then that's the issue. So this is what I've been stating this for about the last 10 years, trying to tell people about this. You actually need to fight the trolls. You need to stand up and fight when there are attacks that are defending all of the points that were just made in this article. Because if you just lie down and just ignore, block from the group, then what you're doing is you're actually handing them a victory, and they know it because they're smart enough to understand how the collective consciousness operates, how to manipulate and control society, and keep this system in place. So those are the main points. There's a funny post that's way down here. Here it is. That's by Teresa from the group, saying this reminds me of Cyrus, me getting ready to help undo humanity's false programming and F up current belief systems. So, okay, well, maybe that is me. All right, everybody. This is The Great Cosmic Shift with Cyrus. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy this. Don't forget to comment down below or get in touch with me at cosmicshiftawakening@gmail.com. And I do one-on-one stuff for people if you want to reach out to me personally for donations, whatever, to help me rebuild after my main channel is gone, because I got hacked. I wonder why I got hacked. It's almost like I'm pissing off too many people. Talk to you next time.